Okay, so this is my review for The Road to El Dorado, a 2000. It's weird to say when it's just 2000. 2000 movie directed by Bebo Bergeron. Okay, and Don Paul, and starring Kevin Kline as Tulio, Kenneth Branagh as Miguel, and Rosie Perez as Chell as the main three characters. It takes place in the years of like really early colonialism when the Spanish went to Mexico and South America. And sorry, I'm just looking at my list of things I have to talk about. So the main characters, we follow Tulio and Miguel. They're like a group of tricksters and swindlers trying to make it big in El Dorado, or trying to find El Dorado to make it big with a map they have, because they ended up getting transported to the New World through some hijinks. I'm actually a huge fan of this movie. Probably my favorite animated movie of all time. Not really a big Disney guy, so I prefer Pixar. Was this Pixar? It might not have been Pixar, but it's definitely not Disney. But either way, huge fan of it. Um, I think the biggest selling point of this is the acting and the chemistry between Tulio Miguel. Chell also fits in well, but Tulio and Miguel are the main like stars of the show. They got like a good dynamic going on. Miguel's kind of like an absolute idiot, and Tulio's more the scheming one. But they balance out well. They both have the similar vibes, and it makes for a really entertaining movie. The story plot basically, they are con artists in Spain, and during one of their escapes, they accidentally get stuck on a boat heading to the New World, where they are enslaved, but they escape and wash up in Mexico with a map they have looking for El Dorado, and they go there and they get worshipped as gods because they've never seen white people before, and they're like, damn, that's crazy, must be gods. So they basically long con all the people there until people eventually find out and it causes a problem, and they have to try to figure out, it's like a conflict between, do we take the money and go home, or do we stay, and are we only staying because the girl Shell, played by Rosie Perez, or we're not supposed to let a girl get in the way, and Shell's manipulating them and conning them at the same time, so it's a good dynamic. It's a really good movie. One of the things that I think sets it apart from most Disney movies is you watch a Disney movie and the themes are like, okay, friendship, true love, I shoot ice powers and I gotta make out with my sister or else she's gonna be dead or something. I don't know. It's dumb themes. This one tackles more adult themes like greed and seduction and bros before hoes. So I really appreciate that. It's not like adult themed, but it's got more adult themes than your average Disney movie. The flow of the movie is really good. Every point kind of conveys into the next one without dragging on too long. There's only like a few song sequences in it, like maybe two or three, and I think it's actually only like one or two. But it doesn't get dragged down in musicals where it's a Disney movie where they're just putting in songs to put in songs. They feel like they serve the plot well, keeps the movie going well, and yeah, I think the flow is really good. Choice of music and sound, there's not really a whole lot that's notable, but the one song that is in there where they're singing about being gods, it pretty much slaps. It's pretty good. The Road to El Dorado song itself, when they're looking for El Dorado, could use some work. Camera work, angles, nothing. It's an animated movie. I don't know if you can really praise the angles and the camera work. There's nothing that stood out that much to me. Shot wise, it probably had some good like landscape shots of El Dorado, some good pans. Um, but I think what really stands out in the directing sense is the colors, just because El Dorado obviously isn't a real place. So they can take a lot of liberties with what's there. They got a lot of bright feathers and gold and stuff, and they make it look like a really interesting environment that you can see people thinking is like, oh, a paradise or whatever. The action, drama, and comedy scenes of note. Uh, there's a scene where they're like piloting a boat or whatever, and they crash it and like flood a bunch of water everywhere. And besides the fact that some of the water physics on it, because I think they 3D animated a bit of it, was a bit weird. That was a pretty cool scene. There's a good scene with a lot of tension where it seems like they're gonna sacrifice a dude into like this giant pit, and then they stop him, and they were like about to cut his throat and throw this dude into the pit. and it was like crazy, and I ended up throwing gold in instead. But that had a good amount of tension. I can't really think of any comedy scenes to note besides the one where the guy imprisons them and he's like, "You will die in slavery in Cuba," and then Miguel's like, "Cuba." That's about it. This movie is more you enjoy the ride. You don't remember specific moments. The whole thing's just really good. Overall grade for the film, I would say it's like an A plus. It's probably my favorite animated movie. Um, the dynamics are really good. The plot is like, well, I mean, it's made up, and a lot of it is like based on circumstance and coincidence. It's kind of not really realistic, but it's all based on stuff that you get. Nobody just does like, ooh, magic power. Now the plot moves on to something else. Like, it's all character interactions, which I think is pretty good. Besides the part where one guy turns into a panther, but that's weird. Um, what do I like and dislike about the film? I like that it tackles more adult themes. I also like that it doesn't take itself as serious. Like a lot of Disney movies, it's like, okay, you're singing about a bunch of dumb stuff, and it's like too like prissy. I guess that's not the right word, but it like treats itself with too big of an ego. It's not really realistic. This movie knows what it is. It's just a silly movie. It's just having fun with it. Throws in some more adult themes than your average Disney movie in there. I think it's pretty good. I really like it. The art design is really good. It's kind of like it's a bit soft. Like the lines aren't as like solid as some other movies. It's a bit softer, but I found myself not liking it at first. It grew on me. It's pretty good. What do I dislike about the film? I can't really say much. Maybe the one song at the beginning could have been better, "The Road to El Dorado." But it's like a really good movie. It's based off these old movies from like the 30s. They would all be called The Road to Blank. I know one of them is called The Road to Singapore. It's the only one I know off the top of my head. And it's based off two dudes that get into like wacky hijinks and almost die in like different countries of the world or whatever. And it was like campy. And there's always a girl that they fight over. So I think in terms of paying homage to that, I didn't really like those movies because I don't have a 1930s mindset. But it does a really good job. It's neat. It has a lot more to offer than your average Disney movie, which all kind of feel samey. This one kind of stands out on its own. The art direction's really good. The art, unlike a lot of the stuff, like the Aztec like culture stuff they got to do with like the pyramid and the sculptures and stuff, really cool. A lot of the character designs on the natives they got to be a bit more creative about, and I really like that. Um, yeah, and it also had like an animal character that wasn't like really annoying. Like there's usually like one cutesy animal character. It doesn't even have to be an animal, but like a cutesy character in a movie. Like you have Olaf and Frozen, and he's just like okay, he's really annoying. Then you have like uh, Sleeping Beauty or Snow White or whatever. It's like a bunch of dumb like mice or something. It's just not interesting. But you got this horse in this one, and he's tired the whole time. He just wants to go home. He like starts off as like trying to capture criminals, but then he's just like, I'm done with this, man. I want to go home. It's a good movie, is what I'm saying. I'm kind of dragging on here, but it's a really good movie. I didn't watch it when it first came out because I wasn't alive yet, but I got around to watching it like when I was 13 or so, and I really liked it. My favorite animated movie, along with The Prince of Egypt. It just slaps. The usual history through films question is should use this to teach history? No, El Dorado is not a real place. Cortez didn't get crushed by a bunch of water because two Spanish dudes like jury rigged a ship into a pillar to hit him with a water tower or something. Uh, some guy didn't turn into a panther to try to eat everyone because the world needed to be cleansed. But it's a fun movie to watch. It's a good movie to watch. I wouldn't use it to teach anything. But that's my rating. A plus, really good. Very little I'd criticize. My favorite animated movie. That's my review.